Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Flint. I've just flown in. And today we are back with Seduce Me 2, the Demon War. Last time, we finally did it. We got the spirit out of my body. Yay! However, something else happened, right? I mean, I think something else happened. Maybe I'm wrong. But then finally, on the next day, we went into glorious, glorious combat. And that is where we're going to pick up. So let's go load our game. One moment as I juggle windows around. And let's get into it, shall we? Like a beacon, our forces became the banner of hope and strength for the rebellion. At the sight of Diana, many soldiers bowed or stared in awe and inspiration. Maybe it was her presence, or maybe it was for what she stood for. But as Diana stood at the cliffside of the mountain, the air became full of energy and power. Yeah, she is kind of a badass. My fiancé, Rabbit, Faye, and I stood behind her as Diana stood on the ledge of the cliffside, addressing the rebellion in their final battle. Her voice echoed across the field, becoming reverberating through the air like thunder.
Milites! Et hoc liberati isturei tramcun tuis omnibus conversiris, sto vobiscum reducitic vos adspem, nocte, lavabimur arcem, ostium sanguine.
I wish they would give you a translation line. I mean, there's clearly room in the text box. But, man, that's just a personal nitpick. What did she say? Thank you, character. I was just saying that.
She said that she will help them gain their freedom, and she will stand with them as they fight this war.
Cool. Is that all? It was only 2 sentences, girl. How much more meaning do you think she was going to chop in there?
Well, she also said that the castle will be bathed in blood, but I don't believe she means it literally.
Oh, I don't know about that. This man has killed her family, destroyed the demon world, made her life a living heck. Yeah, I could see her bathing this in blood, literally. I nodded as I stared at the back of Diana's head. A part of me felt a little intimidated and jealous of the power she had. Hey, don't be that person. Be a lady that supports ladies. She really could make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. Yeah, she can. At the same time, I knew that she was doing the right thing for this world. Exactly.
Ele dio dominati sun nostri, nos destruet, ium mitere, profundissimum, inferni detractos.
Sweetie, translate. A pair of guards rushed forward, carrying a flailing imp demon who was caught in chains, and forcefully slammed him down in front of Diana. She glared down at him and gripped one of his horns, pulling him to his knees.
You should be thankful you didn't throw me into a stew like you did your partner.
What now? I'm now happy I didn't have the stew. With a whisper, Diana dragged her nails across the imp's neck, slicing open 5 large gashes in his throat and making him garble out a painful bubble cry. Diana, however, kept holding his head up, focusing on the blood that poured from him and guiding the energy that emanated from it towards the castle. With a flash, a large purple and red orb barrier that surrounded the castle shattered, fading into the air. The barrier that held the demon lord at bay was finally open, allowing us to charge in and end this once and for all. Diana summoned her saber, letting it shine brilliantly as the purple taint over her skin began to twist and turn. Before my eyes, the taint on her back took shape, lifting off of Diana's skin and morphed into a set of demonic wings. I wish we could see this. I could only stare, jaw-dropped, as Diana's body lifted off the ground and began to fly over the legions, slowly gliding towards the castle.
To war! To battle!
To battle indeed. At her final command, Diana's wings pulsed in the air, flapping gracefully as she swooped down and forward. She was charging and flying for the castle walls, saber bared and ready to spill blood. Go you, and I wish we would get a screenshot of this. As the armies below began to bellow and march forward, Rabbit took hold of my shoulder and turned me away from the castle to face her.
Come, we must hurry.
Agreed, let's go. Understanding the need for urgency, I nodded and rushed forward with the rest of the incubi towards the slope down the mountainside.
Everything is in order. Sergeant Diana's guard are at the front lines, while Shadow is with his legion to the west.
Cool. Good to know.
Is our route clear?
Good question.
We've done what we can to keep your way clear. We'll
Okay.
try to make sure the battle won't break through the path.
Good job, you two. I nodded, feeling the need to rush nip at my heels, pushing me forward. My fiancé seemed to agree, gripping my hand and walking at my pace alongside me. However, as we finally arrived at the forest line, Faye and Rabbit stopped, looking back at us.
Straight through here. The sound of the war will always be on your right, so do not get lost.
KK, thank you.
You'll be fine though, just follow the tree line.
Okay, we got this. In sync, my fiancé and I nodded in acknowledgement before turning to see the other brothers and their wives. So, this is it.
Remember your surroundings and protect each other.
Exactly.
Be careful, alright?
I know.
Make sure you stay safe.
You too.
Kick his dead body a couple times for me, alright? Right in the head.
Cool, will do. Finally, something we agree on.
We'll be right here rooting for you and watching your back, okay?
Cool.
We'll finish this and rush in as soon as we can, alright?
Yep.
Make sure you kick some serious
Oh,
ass.
I plan
Show
to.
that old goat what he gets for messing with you.
Exactly.
We'll win this. We know we can.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this. We'll see you soon, okay?
Yep, see you soon, everybody. I smiled. Despite the nerves running through my body, I held onto my fiancé's hand and gave it a hard squeeze before receiving one back in kind. We'll finish this, then we'll go home. The group nodded before I slowly turned and looked into the tree line, took a breath, and rushed forward. Matching my speed, my love followed, weaving through the trees behind me, to not lose sight of me. The journey was surprisingly swift. The sound of the war clashed behind us outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears a bit from the volume. But I shook my head and pressed forward, not wanting to become distracted. The goal was to get to the castle. I had to focus. Before I could, however, I stopped at the sight of imps, trickling from the direction of the castle in our direction. Yay, stew ingredients! My rage began to ignite in my core, causing the world around me to fill with a red, misty hue. I snarled as I lurched forward and let out a resounding battle cry that echoed through the air. I guess I failed my stealth roll. A lot. Ah! I could barely hear my incubus jump back at the sound, surprised to see me and hear me do what I did. Yeah, true. I've been training.
Princess?
Warrior princess. Rawr. However, I didn't care at the moment. All I could focus on were the imps that I had successfully stopped and intimidated with my howl. Get out of my way! I jutted my hand forward, quickly forming a large red orb and blasting it forward, letting it shoot through the trees and land on one of the imps, exploding on impact. I wish we could see this scene now. The explosion forced many around him to be blasted away against trees or against the ground, disoriented. I wasn't going to let them pass me by, though, stepping forward and letting my instincts rush me forward at them. My body instantly reappeared in front of an imp as I swung my fist high, slamming it into the imp's face and practically breaking his head from his neck. The pain in my knuckles flared, but I didn't care. Adrenaline rushed through me and quickly dissolved it. The remaining imps began to quake and step back in fear, most likely never anticipating a human decimating their number. I wasn't so friendly and merciful, especially in my rage. As I lunged forward again and kicked at another imp, hearing the breaking of his ribs echo through the forest. Each time my eyes locked on an imp, I rushed to be in front of him before he could react, and either severely block them out of my commission or kill them. Imps were almost easier than the damn dummy I practiced with. My incubus, despite probably being surprised at my carnage, followed as I continued forward, fighting through every imp that came our way. I had lost count of how many would cross me, but I didn't care. All I cared about was getting to the castle. By the time we reached the end of the forest, there were a slew of dead and unconscious bodies behind me. I stood at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of angry heat run through my veins. I panted for air, slowly focusing on calming down as my energy quickly depleted from the adrenaline-filled high. That was all I could do before my energy was expanded and a wave of exhaustion rolled through my body. I began to fall forward, exhausted. My fiancé, however, quickly rushed forward and caught me in his arms.
Whoa! Princess, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Berserker rage takes a lot out of a girl. Uh-huh. I looked up to see Erik staring down at me with deeply concerned gaze. We were safe for the moment, so I merely smiled up at him with a nod. I'm fine. I promised to protect you like you protect me. Erik let out a small laugh, kissing my forehead and hugging me to him.
You spoil me so much, my love.
I try. I really do. I hugged him back, feeling relief that we finally arrived at the castle and that we were about to rush inside. As we slowly pulled away, Erik lifted me up and helped me to my feet.
Will you be all right?
Maybe. I nodded, shaking off exhaustion from my mind. I was ready to end this. I looked up at the castle gates and felt a rush of determination run through me. Let's go finish this. With that, Erik and I rushed forward into the castle. The final battle had begun. Erik and I rushed into the castle and into the main hall, where we could hear Diana and the Demon Lord clashing swords.
I will tear you to shreds!
Yes, she will. Go get him, lady. This is honestly a little disappointing that it's the same two stock images, that we couldn't actually get a shot of them fighting each other. And it feels like more could have been done. As we finally entered the space where the battle was happening, we stopped at the doorway, spotting Diana slamming her saber over and over onto the Demon Lord's sword, which was held over his head like a shield. From the look of it, the Demon Lord was severely wounded and was trying to hold out against Diana's barrage of blows. Diana wasn't looking too well herself, but she seemed to have the upper hand. What was scary was that Diana's face was completely smeared with blood. Again, I would like to see this. Just a little red smudge would go a long way, intensifying the frightening look of rage and anger in her eyes. Every swing was reckless, powerfully thrown to eventually hack into the Demon Lord. To her displeasure, the Demon Lord was able to block each time. Erik and I slowly stepped in, watching as Diana continued to beat steel to steel in an angry rage, trying to find an opening and becoming more enraged with each block the Demon Lord pulled. Slowly, his body began to glow, pulsing with red energy.
Enough!
Never enough, sir. Lives. With a blast of red lightning, Diana was sent flying back, slamming against a pillar and falling to the ground with a thud. Aww. Diana! The Demon Lord seemed to ignore my shout as he stood and began to walk over towards Diana's fallen body. Diana tried to press up onto her hands, stumbling and buckling a bit before she glared up at the Demon Lord while he approached.
I should have waited until you came back.
so I could have killed all of you in one fell swoop.
Fair enough. Diana's glare intensified as large black and purple flames began to engulf her body from the rage she ignited from within her.
You bastard!
Agreed. Pouncing off of the ground, Diana formed a new saber in her hand and flew at the Demon Lord, swinging it to slice his throat open. However, the Demon Lord parried, blocking the steel once more with her and leaning in with a hard glare at his own.
How does it feel to be the only one left alive in your family? Not even your unborn sister survived!
Oh, screw you, sir. Diana snarled as she slammed her feet into the Demon Lord's chest, forcing him back and causing her to catch herself on her wings, remaining in the air. The voice that erupted from Diana's mouth sent shivers down my spine.
You don't even deserve the mercy of death!
Yes, he does, because I want to get out of here. Erik instinctively placed an arm in front of me, staying put and watching intently. Both of us were sure that Diana possibly had this. But we didn't want to get in the way of her rage if she was full out going berserk. Yeah, understandable! The Demon Lord let out a laugh before pointing his hand at Diana, summoning a large bolt of red lightning to shoot out and slam into Diana. Luckily, Diana had placed her sword between them and blocked the lightning from hitting her skin. Still, she was slammed back into the pillar she hit before and held there against a stream of heavy red lightning.
You're losing your power, Succubus! Just like a weak parent!
Oh. Why are you taunting her, sir? With a tearful scream, Diana began to push back, shaking and gritting her teeth. The wounds on her body began to bleed profusely, but she eventually sent a wave of purple flame-like energy into her sword, and letting it climb up the lightning bolt into the Demon Lord's hand. Do you forget who you're fucking with, sir? Do you? The Demon Lord quickly pulled his hand away, revealing a sizzling and burning aura around his palm and fingers. Diana, weakened, fell to her knees, exhausted but not yet out. But not out yet. Her eyes still bore into her enemy, not ready to give up. I felt myself glare hard at the Demon Lord. He was a monster that needed to be stopped. Erik, feeling my anger, stepped forward and began to summon his ethereal tendrils. That's what we're calling them now, really? Behind his back and around his form.
Guess it's time to step in.
About time, let's rock. I watched as Erik rushed forward and planted his feet beside Diana, reeling his hands back and punching them forward. As he did, a crown of tendrils shot up from the ground around his body and flew at the Demon Lord like a spray of arrows. The Demon Lord glared and sliced each attack out of the way, panting from exhaustion, but not ready to surrender. As he sliced through the last one, he sneered at his second son, gritting his teeth.
You?
Yes, him. Erik smirked, licking his lips slightly.
Did you miss me, father?
Aww. As he finished the sentence, Erik formed another round of spikes behind him and shot them towards his father, glaring as he blocked and knocked away each one again with his sword. The Demon Lord let out a dark chuckle.
Like I would miss little insect traitors like you.
And yet, you sent Diana to the human world to go pick up your son, so... The Demon Lord let out a howl before slamming his giant sword into the floor, causing the ground to quake and a large crack to cut through the marble and charge at Erik's position. Should I be getting involved now? Erik jumped into the air and landed beside the broken earth, sending out another volley of spikes. Luckily, one rammed into the Demon Lord's shoulder, causing him to shout in pain.
Losing your touch, aren't you?
The Demon Lord snarled before ripping the spike out from his body. letting the wound bleed openly before rushing at his son, with his sword held high. However, Diana swooped in and slammed her saber into the path of his sword, forming a deadlock.
I'm not finished with you!
I get that, but remember, I need the killing blow here. Diana and the Demon Lord pushed against each other, eventually jumping away from each other in aggravation. As Diana landed beside Erik, he stepped in and pointed his hand to the ground, where his tendrils burrowed through the marble and jutted out like a spiked trap. The Demon Lord was quick to react, rushing back from the spikes, impaled him from below and glared. This match had become an unfair fight for him. Yeah, you think? But in our case, it was needed to finish him off at last. So a level playing field, just outnumber him.
Just as cocky as your mother! No wonder she was my least favorite.
Oh, now you would have made it personal. More so. Erik suddenly grew a dark face, the tendrils in his body glowing in a red misty aura. Something snapped in Erik's emotions, and the Demon Lord triggered it. Yeah, he probably knows all the buttons to press.
Don't worry. I'll send you to a place where you'll never have to see her again.
Cool. Also, did I get to meet your mom after this? Erik and the Demon Lord then simultaneously rushed forward at each other, with the Demon Lord raising his sword high and Erik moving his tendrils to wrap around his blade. Erik and the Demon Lord went into a deadlock, with the Demon Lord trying to cut through the hold of his tendrils that had on his sword. Erik, however, formed more free tendrils and shot them up at the Demon Lord from below. Are you saying his tendrils are about to penetrate? Causing his father to release his sword and jump back, now unarmed. Erik smirked as his tendrils snapped the sword in half with insane ease and tossed the two halves to the side to be forgotten. No, how about we remove them from the field? A broken blade is still a blade. And it dawns on me the Demon Lord might get desperate enough to try using it. I watched in anxiousness, hoping this battle would end soon. It was 2 against 1. Why am I not fighting? I've had a breather, let's go. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I, however, kept my distance to make sure he wouldn't attack me instead. I had no energy to fight. Really? I've been a human frickin' battery for the past week. How do I suddenly have no energy? Taking in what Erik had done to his weapon, the Demon Lord snarled.
I can beat you even without my sword. Remember who raised you, boy.
His mom? The staff? Erik left out a large bark of a laugh as his tendrils sharpened into spikes once again.
I'm afraid you're mistaken. My mother raised me.
Exactly.
You were too busy doting on your favorite son to care about me or the others.
Exactly. The Demon Lord growled, his fists becoming engulfed in red bolts of lightning.
I created you! You owe your very existence to me.
Not really, no.
I owe you nothing!
Exactly. The Demon Lord only laughed before suddenly grasping from pain. I had barely seen what had happened, but as I stared at the Demon Lord, I gasped at the sight. Protruding from the Demon Lord's chest were a large spray of red spikes, dripping with his blood. I could barely keep staring as he turned and looked to us in shock. I looked over to Erik to see him pointing at the wall behind the Demon Lord, where a collection of spikes jutted through the black void into the Demon Lord's back, effectively skewering him. Still not a kebab or shish kebab I want to eat, though.
You never paid attention. You were blinded by pride, and that will be your downfall.
Exactly.
No! He's mine!
No, Diana. My kill. I want to go home. Erik quickly pulled his tendrils from his father's body, causing the Demon Lord to fall forward from the pain and momentum. Diana, however, swooped at the Demon Lord and rammed her saber into his chest, a garbled gasp escaping his throat. I hope you didn't just screw me over, lady. Without hesitation, Diana pulled her sword out and stabbed him once again, driving her blade all the way through him to the hilt and snarling into his face. Again, I wish we could see this.
Those were for my parents.
A third stab directly through the heart.
For my sister!
Diana finally pulled her sword out and rammed the pommel into the side of his head, pushing him down to the ground in a lifeless thud. He was dead by now, eyes glazed over in death's cold, breathless embrace. The only embrace that asshole deserves. However, Diana didn't care. No, I'd imagine not. His death isn't gonna bring back her parents or her sibling. Diana quickly straddled his waist, bringing up her saber and using her magic to shorten it to a dagger in her hands above her head.
And for every life you took from this world!
Sweetie, should we go? I have a feeling she's gonna be here a while. Maddened, Diana began to violently slam and pepper stabs into the Demon Lord's chest. Erik rushed over and wrapped his arms around me, covering me from the sight, but he was unable to block the sound of Diana's sob-filled screams with each stab. I became a bit frightened at Diana and how she was releasing her anger. However, it was entirely justified. He had taken everything from her and had caused the worldwide chaos. It was only natural to demand revenge even after death. Yeah, but now she's just making hamburger meat and I don't want to eat Demon Lord burgers. Ugh. Bet they taste awful. This was her last stand with him, and she had dominated his very corpse with her blade, uncaring of the lost spirit no longer within it. It went on for far too long, to the point where Erik had to let me go and walked forward, pulling Diana off of him. She began to flail, dropping her knife and letting it fade as it hit the ground into nothing.
No! Let go!
He is gone. It's over. Breathe.
Diana!
Erik pulled Diana to her feet and gripped her shoulders, shaking her and glaring into her eyes.
Enough!
Yeah, this is how madness rumors get started. Diana's eyes were bloodshot, desperate to keep striking the dead body, but filled with emotion and broken inhibition. As she finally took in Erik's words, she shut her eyes and dropped to her knees, releasing a wave of sobs and cries. I walked over to Erik's side, pitying Diana. She must have seen so much death. This was her solace and chance to let go. To know her family was gone because of him wrenched pain into my heart, but I knew it was finally over. They were avenged, and so were the many people who died under his hand. The Demon Lord was dead at last. I felt a weight lift off my heart and spirit, proving to me that the curse was broken, and that the chain that bound me to the Abyssal Plains was gone. I could go home. Yes, finally, let's go! I hugged Erik's arm to me, finally letting out a sigh. I was holding in relief for the situation. Erik smiled and kissed my head.
It's over now.
Finally, I want to go. Wait, is your mom still here? I would actually love to go meet your mom. And the other boys' moms. Yeah, we can go home now. A wave of joy rushed through my body, happy to know that I was free to go home. I began to become overjoyed with the idea of returning, walking across the aisle and marrying Erik before returning to my normal life. Normal. Life in the demon world was an adventure, but it was time to finish this and leave. Exactly. Yay, normalcy. I smiled to Erik before kneeling down and placing a hand on Diana's shoulder as she cried, causing her to look up at me. I could only smile at her, try to relieve some sort of heartache and burden she was releasing. It's over, Diana. We won. A small breath of silence ran through the air before Diana wiped the tears from her eyes and nodded, still shaky from the experience.
It's over.
Yep, we got this. Woo! I nodded and gently helped Diana stand before taking Erik's hand and walking towards the entrance of the hall. Diana, however, turned back to look at the Demon Lord's body, stopping us in our tracks.
Was this all worth it?
Hmm.
I lost my family because of him.
True.
There was so much bloodshed.
I know. And now it's over, and we get to rebuild everything, and life can begin again. Diana tightened a fist at her side, gritting her teeth and shutting her eyes.
I didn't get to say goodbye to my family. My sister.
Poor Diana. I felt another wave of empathy run through my body at her words. She wasn't really alone, though. She had Sergio. He was truly everything she had left in the world, and he was more than willing to walk through it with her. Where is he, by the way? It was all right, so I reached out to take her shoulder. Diana looked over, seeing the comfort in my eyes despite her broken gaze. Before I could speak, however, a familiar purple light glowed from the Demon Lord's body, catching our eyes and causing us all to look over in shock. What was happening? What the? Before our eyes, a faint purple orb slowly appeared and bobbed up and down in the air, looking to us. How can you tell where it's looking? It's just an orb. It doesn't have eyes. The orb that had haunted me and was expelled from me floated over the dead body of the Demon Lord, as if it had been there the entire time. You. The orb moved in a circle about the Demon Lord's body, letting the faint trail behind it temporarily draw a circle in the air. As it returned to its spot, it released a pulse of light. The light slowly drifted towards Diana, impacting her chest and making her glow a bit before the light faded away. Confused, Diana stared at the spirit, trying to figure out what it had done to her. Was it an attack? Oh, god damn it, I do not want to fight Diana. Slowly, Diana became wide-eyed at its familiarity. With a shaky hand, Diana reached out towards the orb, lost emotion in her eyes as she kept her sights on the spirit.
Oh, Arabelle.
Ah, okay, so this is the sister, I take it. It's weird Diana didn't recognize her, but... Also, how did she get to the human world? I stared at Diana in shock. It had a name? How did Diana know this spirit at all? Oh, come on. Be competent. Put two and two together. It was like she was grasping at straws. How could Diana have known who it was? Gee, she just mentioned she lost family, especially a young sister. The orb floated forward, stopping in front of the Demon Lord's corpse as Diana took a step towards it.
Hi, Zaire.
I was wrong. Diana hit the nail on the head with its name and seemed to be acquainted with it. Diana took a couple more steps forward before dropping to her knees in the middle of the hall. I watched as tears began to stream down her face and her body began to quake. The orb slowly floated over to Diana and hovered just within arm's reach of her. Diana's hand shakily lifted up past her chest and over her mouth.
Arabelle.
It's okay. It's okay, big sister.
Big sister? Finally, she figured it out. The answer's 4. Diana was her. Diana suddenly let out a tearful gasp before reaching forward and taking the orb into her arms, somehow pulling the orb into a tight embrace. The orb seemed to shimmer in the hug it was in, but didn't seem to react in any other way. Okay, why the frick did Orabel come to me and not, go to her sister? Go to Serio? Literally go to anyone else on Diana's side? Why the frick did it come to me? Diana, however, became a weeping mess, crying and shaking while holding Orabel close.
Orabel! Orabel!
I couldn't believe it. The spirit was Orabel, Diana's sister. What kind of coincidence was that? A crazy one, I know, right? How did Diana not know herself? Also a valid question. How did Orabel not tell me? Yeah, that would have saved a lot of frickin' time. It obviously knew Diana just for how they were embracing. Still, the sight of Diana in mournful tears gripped my heart. Diana lost her sister and suddenly was able to speak to her once more. Even after Orabel's death, it was as if fate wanted to apologize for taking her family away, or the writing staff. I almost became a crying mess myself. It was a very tearful union after a dramatic battle. I didn't know how to feel in the situation we were in. Diana didn't seem to care. She continued to cry and hold Orabel. Erik wrapped an arm around me, comforting me as I wiped my eyes and tried to avoid weeping. Diana, however, didn't seem to care about the tears running down her face.
This is the first time I've heard you cry, sister.
I'm sorry. I tried to save you, but
It's okay. The Demon Lord did this to me.
Of course he did. Now he's dead, so yay, I can go home? It suddenly made sense. Orabel was an unborn baby, so it wouldn't have known its name. The Demon Lord was the one who killed her, so the puzzle pieces were connecting perfectly. Orabel then phased out of Diana's hands, making the demoness gasp and look up at the orb. Orabel, however, floated in place in front of Diana as she continued to speak.
The Demon Lord made me find the human.
Ah! Okay, fair enough. What? Orabel was working for the Demon Lord. Yeah, that's kinda shitty. She helped the imps bring me to the demon world? Oh, rage.
You were the human all along? Why not just tell me? Why?
Yeah! You could have frickin' worked with us here.
He made me. But now I have nowhere to go.
Well, that's your problem. Can I go home now, please?
Oh, Orabel.
Something in the air didn't seem right. Something about Orabel became off, and I couldn't place my finger on it. The more I stared, the more concerned I became, and the heavier the nervousness in my gut grew. Yeah, this is gonna go sideways so quick, isn't it?
Isaiah, I love you so much. But...
Uh-oh. The air seemed to freeze and the room became still, as Orabel floated back towards the body of the Demon Lord. As Orabel stopped, she began to glow a dark red and purple color.
I can't forgive you.
Of course! This is why I freaking hate kids! All at once, the orb flashed and vanished into thin air. Only a misty gasp present in the aftermath.
Orabel!
We looked around, trying to pin down where she had gone. As the Demon Lord's hand suddenly lifted up and slammed into the ground, we shot our heads back at his corpse, seeing it begin to animate. The Demon Lord slammed his other hand to the ground and began to push himself up, curling his shoulders over and using whatever strength he had in him, getting onto his knees and eventually his feet. God damn it. What? The Demon Lord's body stood up and steadied itself on the ground on its 2 feet, heavy and void of life. What was happening? How could this be? Well, Orabel's ready to fuck us up. As the demon lord's head lifted to look up at Diana, I gasped. His eyes were glossed over in dark purple, almost black color. Blood continued to pour from the wound of his body, but the body continued to move as if it had small breath of life. Because it does, Orabel. His mouth dropped and began to mold itself into forming words, dead and echoey with Orabel's voice seeping through.
You let him kill me. You let him kill mother and father.
No, she didn't.
Orabel. You let the human live and let us die. I can never forgive you.
Fucking kids, man. The voice of the Demon Lord and Orabel seemed to fuse in a dissonant harmony as the body slowly began to march toward the unmoving Diana. My mind screamed for her to move and run, but Diana didn't seem to be immobile at the oncoming danger. Diana, move! She remained in place, shocked and frozen at whatever her sister had said and done. I could barely make out her hair and body shuddering in natural fear, but she wouldn't move at all. Call out again or grab Diana? I can try grabbing her and getting her out of there. There was no way I was going to let Orabel hurt her, sister or not. I rushed forward and grabbed Diana by the horns, pulling her back as fast as I could. Diana gripped onto my hands, digging her nails into my skin, but I didn't care. I needed to bring her away from the incoming enemy. As I dragged her back, Orabel watched, unamused by my intrusion. I could only glare back despite Diana flailing in my hands. She wouldn't take her away. I wouldn't let her. Yeah, I need her to get home, so... I finally released Diana's horns and stepped forward, placing myself between the two sisters. Now, girls, you're both... pretty? Question mark? I won't let you hurt her. Orabel loomed toward us, filling me with dread. The stench of the Demon Lord's corpse became unbearable, despite not being dead long. I still had no energy to fight. The realization made me step back from the undead Demon Lord. Sweetie, tell me you got some more of those tentacles ready.
You hurt me.
Hurt me.
Now I'll hurt you.
Yeah, that's child logic and also not very helping the situation. Orabel picked up the Demon Lord's broken blade. See, I told you to remove those from the stage. Broken blade parts and slammed them together, fusing them back into one sword with her energy. How is that possible? Girl, bigger fish right now. She was a spirit in the body of a very powerful demon. Orabel then started to charge at us, raising the sword barely over Erik's and my head. I prepared to defend myself. I became ready for the attack. But my vision became blocked by the back of Erik's head. No. 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 Well? Time to kill the world. Erik! Sticking out of Erik's back was the Demon Lord's blade. It was run through his chest towards me, barely inches away from my own chest. Erik, impaled, twitched as he stared down at the sword's blade. My heart began to scream and cry. This couldn't have been happening, no! Orabel quickly pulled the blade back out and sheathed it into Erik's body, as if she wanted to be sure she had killed him. I barely heard his last breath of life. No! I became so absorbed in the sound of my scream that I couldn't register Orabel, pull out the blade and stepping around Erik, running it through my neck. And you hurt me? No, I'll hurt you. H. So... that happened. Aw, not... But I am the protagonist, and I know there's other routes and other ways things can resolve themselves with Erik in this path. Hopefully next time when I try it again and come back to this, it'll go better? Question mark? But that'll be next time. As for tonight, the show is over, so until next talk, ligatilak hedo.